Okay, good evening, Snooker World. Good evening, Facebook Live. The 15 Red podcast is here for Sunday, the 2nd of May, 2021. And we're on World Championship Final Day 1, and we're going to recap the two sessions. Live here with Mike in Vancouver. Good afternoon to you.
Good morning, fellas. Good to be with you.
Yeah, good to be with you too, Mike. Nice to see you. And hello to Dylan from Chester. Good evening.
Hi there to Graham and to Mike as well, and everybody watching. And hopefully we can have a nice and constructive debate about what has been a fantastic session of snooker.
Absolutely. But first of all, we've got some topics to discuss before we get into the final. And the first thing we're going to discuss is Stephen Hendry's comments about the break, snookers required. If players require snookers, then the frame should be over. Thoughts, guys? We'll go to Mike first because Dylan turned his camera off somehow for some reason there.
Accidentally. I'm just trying to sort that out now.
Yeah. Look, I think maybe we're trying to do too much here. I mean, I get players want to play for snookers and all that, but do we need to put a cap on it? I think that might be a bit much. I mean, if someone wants to play on, shouldn't it be their way to play on?
I absolutely agree with that, Mike. I think, of course, it's every player's right to carry on as much as they want to. And as we were saying off air, with the Q-School stuff, if it meant a tour card, if you was getting a tour card and you needed snookers, and then suddenly the rule was, oh, you can't play for snookers, that spoils your journey. It's not great. It's not a great rule, and I actually abide by it. And if I was wanting snookers, I'd play on for forever.
Fair enough.
I know what Hendry's saying though. He wants the game to be quicker and more appealing, but it's not a great rule.
Well,
if it was to be brought in, which it won't, I'm sure it won't.
In his career, he was never one to play for snookers anyway, right? And to be fair, like there's not a lot of these players are playing on like needing 4 and 5 snookers. We've had an example of it in the semi-final where Selby played on against Bingham, but I mean 99% of the time the players generally will concede and continue on. So do we need a rule in place for like the 1% where the guy plays for 5 snookers? I mean, it just seems.
I think it would be getting very silly if they brought that rule into it. Like I said, if there was players on the Q-School circuit and they needed that frame or they wanted to fight on, I think it's a terrible rule. Dylan, thoughts?
I personally think it's sort of yes and no, but in terms of like basically making it so that the second you have enough points and they can't get back, and the second that you win the frame there, no, I think that's a horrendous rule. Because not only do you have people fighting for their tour cards, you have people fighting to stay in the tournament and go on to win a big tournament. People fighting to try and beat this other guy. People fighting to try and do this and set a new centuries record the next frame or something like that. But the point is but let's say if it gets to the point where it's about 5 or 6 snookers, and at that point you can't win. And that point you're at the point where say you're XYZ in front, and there's like a 20 point deficit. At that point, I think you should be automatically given the frame or something like
that. But I've got a question to that though. You're playing in the best of 7, and player A makes a break of 84.
Yeah.
I need the table time. I need to pot some balls. I need to play on, not necessarily to win, but I need to get some table time to play just to get my stroke, get in a rhythm. If I don't use time, I could end up getting completely blown out, and the match could be influenced on the fact that I haven't even had a chance to warm up. So
but the argument to that is that you've just got to play better safety, got to be tighter, and then earn your chance to get in the frame.
But it shouldn't not allow me the opportunity just to get some table time in a match, especially these low-ranked guys that don't get to play on the TV tables. Like there's guys lower ranks that do make it up to the TV table once a season. And and it's been said that they're different tables, the way they run, the way they play.
Yeah, well, that's why you just got to practice as hard. I just think I go back to my original point: practice as hard as possible. Stay straight with the safety. Hopefully, get as much rubber the green as you can, and I'll take your chance whenever you do get in, because No, you simply cannot play on when it's like 5 or 6 snookers or something like that. No, just even if it's just for a bit of table time, I'm personally against it.
But there again, though, Dill, it has been done where 5 or 6 snookers needed has been got before.
Yeah, but that's a highly rare instance.
I know it's very rare, but it has been done. So okay, so we're mixed opinion on that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Or maybe I could extend it to a bit, maybe to the point of say 7 or 8 snookers. When you get to that kind of ridiculous point, then yes, it's definitely time to, definitely time to go. No, you can't go back in this frame because you're too far behind.
Yeah, it would have to be a ridiculously high number, I would say. But
okay.
I wouldn't want a deciding frame of a world championship difference of say 300 grand, and I'm say 60 behind with 51 left or 43.
No,
left.
then in that case, you can most certainly play on because it's only 3 snookers.
Well, okay. Say I need 4 snookers, 5 snookers, like Selby did.
Yeah, but there has to be a limit. Okay. There has to be a limit, basically.
So what is your limit then? Since you say
I would go. I'd say 6. I'd say 6.
So what's the difference between 6 and say 8, or any limit at all?
Because that's just how it is. There has to be a limit with everything, I'm afraid. I remember the thing is there has to be. Yeah, it's simple. There has to be a ball line with everything, even if it's just 1 or 2 over. And that's just the way it is, I'm afraid.
Going back to what you're saying, Dylan, about you have to play better safety and all that stuff. What about if it's your first frame in that tournament on the TV table? You're a debutant there, and you need some practice. You need some practice on that table to get the pace of the table.
No, I just don't. No, I just think you have to be harsh on all the debutants, I'm afraid, because the snooker rule where you're just playing on just to kill. Because remember, it's also about the spectators as well, and they don't want to see a frame bogged down when there's loads of snookers. And even if they want to see somebody getting a bit of table time in that, I just don't think it's worth it.
It's also worth noting that it's only because of one specific player that played on one time for 5 snookers. I mean, it seems a bit harsh to make a rule based on that. Like if it was if it was happening consistently through the season and there was more than one, maybe it's worth looking at. But we're talking about one situation that happened. It just seems a bit far-fetched to all of a sudden have new rules. You know, I don't know. That's just my view.
Yeah, well, it's one of those things where there are loads of ways to look at it, but I've got my opinion.
Absolutely.
And I'll stick with my opinion, but we all agree. I think we've all come to this agreement. If you say you only need 2 or 3 snookers, then without a single doubt, you're allowed to play on.
Yep.
Well, I'm just going to say that I've been guilty of it before in league match play where I've carried on with 5 snookers required. So
but did you win that frame?
I didn't.
No.
But is it so?
My teammates weren't very happy with me. They blame. They were like, "You should have cut the frame, quit the frame." But I thought, no, it's my right to carry on. But that's just my opinion.
Yeah, fair enough.
Okay, moving on topic, guys, because we could be on that virtual all night. Dress codes. What Judd Trump was on about modernising the game. We've got a post here from Mike Patton. I'm going to read it out to you and your thoughts on it, guys, when I read it out. As the snooker season draws to a close, I'm left to ponder the whole dress code theory that Judd Trump has suggested. The big 3 tournaments shouldn't be touched. I think most people agree. I wouldn't want to see polo shirts allowed outside the shootout. They look amateurish. What I'd like to see is something like what the home nation tournaments have done without the waistcoats and bow ties, but let the players choose whatever colour shirt and trousers and even have designs on the back of them with their nickname or something. This way it keeps it formal and classy, but adds a bit of razzmatazz to it. And they could do it for only the Tour Championship Series. It would set it apart from other tournaments, as a lot of them are a bit samey. What do we think? I'll go to Dylan first.
I think the dress code as it is quite good. Well, I think the one thing I think the one thing which should be changed is that you should be allowed to not wear bow ties, because as it was either he or Jack which said it, or maybe both. The bow ties can get in the way, and if they can hinder the way you play, basically your dress code should not hinder you from basically playing snooker to your fullest ability. So I think getting rid of bow ties, especially as Stephen Maguire is allowed to not wear a bow tie, I'd say that's probably a good idea to definitely get rid of them. Is the first thing. But regarding things like the shootout is just like a crazy event, so you could probably pretty much wear pajamas and still get away with it in the shootout. And then regarding something like the Triple Crown events, sorry, just 1 minute. 1 minute, yeah. Yeah, regarding something like the Triple Crown events, they're the more serious events, so you probably want to be dressed as smart as you can in those. But yeah, those are basically my general thoughts on the matter.
Okay, Mike.
Yeah. I think it's just it's well articulated by Mike Patton. Like, keep the big events a little more formal, and then as you come down in scale, make it a little bit more casual. But I mean, not too gimmicky, but like you said, make it different. Yeah, I would say I'm fine with that. So.
Well, I think the UK Championship, the Masters, and the World Champs should be that attire, but probably not bow ties, shirts, possibly ties. You know, you can get clip-on ties and pin them into the shirt or something. You don't always have to wear a bow tie, but the tradition of the World Championship has been bow tie and shirt ever since 1927, so that should not change. Other tournaments, yeah, like the shootout, it's T-shirts anyway. And English Open, Welsh Open, Gibraltar should all be like maybe casual kind of shirt with open button, you know. So, yeah, but like we say, I think we agree, do we all, that the 3 big tournaments shouldn't be touched?
Agreed.
Yeah, I agree. The 3 Triple Crowns, because they're the 3 biggest events. They've got a lot of history, and those 3 tournaments have done snooker the absolute world of good.
Agreed. Yep.
And what's your view, Dylan, on making snooker more appealing? Because we all know that it's a sort of dying art at the moment.
Well, it is a dying art because A, Barry Hearn's leaving, B, a coronavirus, and C, the lack of participation from British players. And hopefully the participation, I think I'm not joking, since 2010, the participation rates have declined by 50%. And that's a staggering number. You think about it compared to like the 80s and 90s. I think a big reason is the fact that nowadays people have got a lot more other things to do than back in the 80s and 90s. Like you have all the electronics right now, but obviously none of that back then. But no, I just think probably just encourage, just get the participation rates higher, and hopefully that can increase this, and also get more clubs back open. And basically we need to just, because obviously we know the Chinese are basically taking over the snooker world in terms of players and events and like prize funds and all that kind of thing.
Also, I read an article where Alan McManus said about government funding, and a little bit of government funding would go a long way to getting youngsters in playing again and making it affordable and all of that kind of stuff. So, but yeah, I agree with some of Dylan's points on like gaming, electronic gaming, and not many facilities around even to play in now. It's getting a little bit difficult.
Well, I'm impressed you know this, Mike, because it's not like you've lived in England for over 30 years now.
Well, that's true. It's also happening in Canada as well, though, to be fair. I mean, it's not exactly it's on my doorstep as well here. Like, there used to be 4 clubs close to where I live. There's 0 now.
Yeah, but has coronavirus had a say in that?
No, it was gone before coronavirus. It was all redeveloped property now. It's all like land property and apartments, condos, etc., etc.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah, and yeah.
Yeah, it's not just in the UK. It's outside of the UK too.
Yeah, but obviously not in China.
Yeah, but that's an up and coming scenario too. They spend money. Their government spends money on it here, and then obviously in the UK they don't. So yeah. Anyhow.
Yeah, Judge Trump was saying that not enough has been done for the academies and the youth side of the game, which is quite true. They're not bringing them up from the roots.
Yeah, it's true. Absolutely true.
So the other point that Hazel Irvine made, which I do not agree with whatsoever, she said that because when a number one top player in the world in any sport speaks out, you're going to sit up and listen. And I thought, really? Do we have to listen because he's number one in the sport? It's like Lewis Hamilton in F1. I don't listen to everything he says, just because he's number one in the sport. That's not true, in my opinion. What do you think?
To be honest, I'm against you and I'm on Hazel's side. Always listen to the people at the top.
Oh, maybe you should run for Prime Minister, then you might get the same response then.
Yeah, well, I know, but it's a different thing in the world of sport, because in the world of sport, you actually earn yourself to be like top and you practice to be at the top. But when in something like government, it's like more of a fluky thing in government.
But just because you're at the top doesn't mean you're right.
I know. Well, no, but Judd Trump is rightfully the number one, and anybody who disagrees needs to stop watching snooker for the rest of their life. Anyone who disagrees.
I think maybe you're misunderstanding. We're not questioning his ability. It's the point was, just because he's number one doesn't mean we should just stop and listen. We should listen. You should listen to anyone. It doesn't matter if he's number one. Then you come to your own conclusions. Give me the facts and analysis, and I'll decide for myself. That's how it should be.
Yeah, well, basically, Judd Trump has made some meaningful statements over the past few months and
Correct.
He's made some positive ones. He's also made some negative ones.
Yeah,
exactly. And that's why I go back. That's why I go back to what I just said. Just give me the facts and the analysis, and I'll decide for myself.
Well, I'm trying to think of some specific quotes right now, but I think he was looking for no, I'm struggling to think off the top of my head. But he was basically criticizing the British public standard at the youth level and saying it's no good and how we're being massively overtaken by the Chinese.
Well,
that's true.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
And that's what you were saying, Dylan, about the Chinese taking over the game. They are taking over the sport. So
I know, and I would be absolutely astonished if China, especially with all the money they've invested as well, if they never produce a world champion.
That is, I'm very surprised that they haven't done at the moment.
Yeah, but I think Yan Bingtao is their best shot.
True, I agree. So anyway, on to the World Championship final. Day one session kicked off. So 10-7 then. 10-7.
It is, and it's been a great match. Both sessions have been good. The second session was better because I'll tell you what. Well, in session one, I think 5-3 was a fair score to Murphy because Selby didn't really get going. Murphy fluked a pink, I know that, but he just played some good shots in general, made some decent breaks. But from both sessions, interestingly, there's been no century yet, but there's still been I think a 98 or something. But then heading to session two, Selby's match play in Granite in session two was more solid than a rock.
Brilliant. Yeah, he's like that. He can grind you down, and I think Selby is forcing Murphy to play like that, which Murphy doesn't like to.
Yeah, I agree. He's dictated the whole match, and he's full value for the 10-7 lead. I mean, he played rock solid. He's got what he wanted. Not a shootout, not a huge break building contest. He's just Granite, safety, match play, and full value. Yeah,
the way he's clawed them frames back from 7-6 down to go 10-7 up.
I agree. It's been 7-6 down, and actually I think it was a streaky one, 6 out of 7 frames.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's just basically didn't give Murphy much of a sniff, and Murphy basically, he may have had the odd chance here or there, but he couldn't capitalise really, and basically Selby, what I'm surprised about is in that last frame of the session. Remember when basically he had a chance to play on when he had a red over the pocket, and he had the green on the left and the blue on the right cushion, and he decided to put it back, and that really surprised me because I thought he would have gone for the pot. I thought he would have gone for the pot because A, you've got a chance to win the frame there, and B, you've got 2 colours safe if it goes wrong.
Yeah, I agree. I thought he'd have took the pot on.
I was very surprised he didn't take it on.
But in the end, he still won the frame anyway. But yeah, very interesting that there's been no century.
Yeah, I know, but I do think that will change tomorrow.
And also, when they came out for the first session, the crowd was electric, absolutely fantastic atmosphere, and I think that got to the players a little bit because they looked nervous in that first frame. It was very scrappy.
Yeah, I know, and eventually won by Sean. Yeah, he won the first two, but yeah, Mark's just fought back well. And but about the crowd thing, I think that's to be expected because everybody wants a real big buzz when we finally have, for the first time in over a year, a sold out venue in the world of sport.
Absolutely, yeah. And well done to everybody at the Crucible for getting that up to full capacity as well.
I know, but I don't think it's quite full, but it's certainly near full.
Well, it makes it does make a big difference, though, doesn't it?
Yeah, I know it does, and to be honest, I think that actually benefits Sean Murphy more than anyone because we know he's had a horrendous season up before now, but the crowds would probably had a big say in that. But Ronnie seems to be sort of the opposite.
Yeah, I know. He'd rather play without the crowd, wouldn't he?
Yeah, I think if there was a crowd at last year's World Championship, he doesn't win it.
Okay. Yeah. That's like we were saying. That's what we were saying about Jordan Brown at the Welsh Open. Would he have won that if there were crowds there?
Impossible to tell. Impossible.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what do we think about shot time limits? Because Mark Selby was taking in the one frame he took 3 shots. He took like a minute and a half over each of them. Should there be a limit capped on shot times or not?
Well, it enormously depends on the context. If it's something like the first round of the Gibraltar Open, you'd get away with 10 minutes. If it's a world no, you wouldn't get away with say five minutes. But then if you're in a World Championship final, you get away with 10 minutes because basically and we're in the World Championship final right now, so the referee would kindly give him more time. And as such, especially as Selby is probably the most defensive player ever, so he's just going to be really cautious over this and do this and this, and so but regarding, because remember, obviously there was that snooker event, the Premier League, which had the shot clock. I think we could introduce something along the Premier League lines to basically, like a rule basically, where basically if you're on a break, say you're in the balls, then you've got a minute and maybe a minute and a half to play a shot, and if you don't, then it's a foul and your opponent gets it. And then, but you're allowed. But another thing, you definitely should be allowed extensions, that kind of thing.
Yeah, but it's obviously like the Premier League is a little bit different rules to the World Champs. So you're saying they should bring them rules into the World Champs?
I'm saying to a similar extent, they no, not just the World Championships, all the snooker.
Okay, Mike, thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'm not a big proponent of shot clocks, to be honest with you. It's gone, the game's been around a long time. To start introducing shot clocks would be it'd be a bit of a jump for me. So I'm hoping they don't go down that road. I agree there are certain scenarios where too much time is being taken. But if we started doing shot clocks and stuff, I don't know, that would have a bit of a negative impact for me on the sport.
Of course, there was that incident in the semis with Selby and Bingham when the referee told Selby to speed up because he was taking like 2.5 minutes over his shot. And even though it was a tricky position, is the referee in jurisdiction to do that?
I'm not familiar with the rule on it per se, but I mean, if he's taking an obscene amount of time, then yeah, maybe you should tell him to hurry up.
Because I never thought there was a limit on how long a player could take on a shot.
Well, that would be ridiculous because then people could take 10 minutes per shot.
Exactly. So what is the rule on that? I'd like to look into it.
That's what I mean. The best rule is to simply apply some kind of shot clock just to a lesser extent of what, because the Premier League shot clock was really harsh. I think it was like 30 seconds or something. And that was definitely too harsh. So you can have it like a minute and a half, maybe tops, and basically just get people speeding up. And also a rule maybe where you get an extension if you're in a snooker. Basically, in other words, you get an extension also if you're in a deciding frame. In other words, try to make it kinder on you whenever you're in a tough situation.
Well, I was going to say, is the referee right then to tell Selby that?
I think he is right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
He kind of around forever. That would just be disrespecting the game and just problematic.
Also, it's not really entertaining either.
2 minutes a shot on like certain shots. It just Yeah, he's got to tell him to hurry up a little bit.
I was going to say, it's not really entertaining either to see a player walk around the table 10 times before they take a shot.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
It's too slow. But, on the other hand, people love to see that kind of snooker. So it's horses for courses on that respect.
And this is why you're allowed extensions, in my books anyway. Because you get that extra bit of time, but then obviously you got to consider the crowd, consider your opponent, and even consider yourself, because you don't want to slow yourself down so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. So, what do you think has been the quality the quality standard of this final so far compared to other finals in the past?
I'd say
out of 10, even though there has not been a single century, well, I give it an 8 out of 10. So that's pretty good.
Yeah, I'm a little bit less generous than Dylan. I'll say 6.
6. Yeah, but
I'll go in the middle. I'll go in the middle and say 7.
Because I know there hasn't been a century, but there have been some really good breaks, like when Selby made like an 85. I think Selby's made like 3 80s and like a 90 or something. But his safety has just been so good, and it's the fact they're having to deal with this thing straight after the coronavirus, and they still have to wear the masks on occasion, which can depress you. And you have to considering all factors, I'd give an 8, maybe a bit generous, but no, I don't think it's too bad. But I don't think 8 or 6, neither of those is bad. I think probably say in the middle 7 is probably more about right. But but like it's just the safety from both players, but more so Selby, and he's basically stuck to his plan. And the fact he's recovered from 6-4 down to just storm to win 6 out of 7 frames is absolutely sublime stuff.
I think that's the big turning point of the match.
Yeah, but remember this, Shaun Murphy, he was 10-4 down against Kyren Wilson. Look what happened next.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, like we say, anything can happen in the next session.
Yeah,
so we've seen it too many times.
Anything can happen in the world of sport as well. It's just what sport is. It's about unexpected drama.
And that's why we sit watching it. So
and that's why we're reviewing it to all of our lovely viewers, and I very much like you two. I'm looking forward to day 2 of the final.
Absolutely. So, would you expect at the start of the tournament? Would you have put these 2 players in the final?
Not a chance.
Nope, me neither.
No. It's a bit of a weird final, isn't it?
Selby, if I'm generous, maybe, but I'd say more likely, definitely more likely not. Murphy, I didn't even have him winning more than a game. Yeah, I even thought Mark Davis would beat him in round 1. I'm serious.
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah, it is a bit of a shock to me to see these 2 in the final as well. I knew John Higgins wouldn't go that far. I knew Ronnie was. Well, I thought Ronnie would have done better than he did, to be honest.
Yeah, I know. I would have thought that.
Neil Robertson was a bit disappointing.
Judd as well. Judd
as well. Yeah. So it's just a weird final because we never expected it.
I know, and but the thing is, these 2, like, they've known each other for like nearly 30 years. They're both from the East Midlands. They're both the same kind of age range, and they're both very good players.
Oh yeah, quality, beyond quality. So yeah, and they've had 2 re-racks as well in this final. What do we think to re-racks? Should they have during a match? Should they have many re-racks as they want, or just 1 or 2?
As many as they want. As many as they want, and also the referee should be able to force a re-rack whenever he wants, and he's allowed to, or she is allowed to, without the consent of the players. Basically, if no progression is being made, then they will eventually. The referee can force. I've never seen it happen, but it can happen. And I've seen referees give a warning, say, I think it was Marcel Eckhart maybe say, listen, if you don't make progress in the next few shots, I'm forcing a re-rack.
Yeah. And am I right in thinking that this is the first re-racks we've had in finals?
I doubt it.
Have we had re-rack in other finals? That'll be a good question to find out.
We'll find out.
I'm sure we've had re-racks in other finals because there have been so many frames in so many finals. So there must have been re-racks.
Yeah.
Actually, no, I can think of one right now, actually. In the 1981 final, Steve Davis against Doug Mountjoy, there was a re-rack on the final blue, pink and black.
Really?
Yeah. Well, only 3 balls left. 3 balls left, but they hit a stalemate, and obviously, so they had to re-rack it. Basically about 3/4 of an hour of a frame for nothing. Yeah, after all, you could have done something else like watch snooker on telly or something.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to put it out there now. Dylan, Who's your money on?
Well, at the start of the day, I said Sean Murphy will win 18-14, and I've got to stick by it. I can't go back on it. And plus, I've got extra encouragement with the fact that he came back so well against Kyron Wilson, so I'm sticking with Sean.
Mike?
Well, like I said to you at the beginning, I'm either going to be happy or I'm going to be right. I said if I'm right, I've got Mark Selby, which I picked to win 18-14, and I would be over the moon if Sean Murphy beat him. So either way, I can't lose. I'm hoping Murphy can at least make a match of it, but I think we've already seen the turning point.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to go Selby.
Yeah.
18-15.
Yeah,
Mike, when you say the turning point,
yeah, Mike, when you say the turning point, Mike, which was at the point like where what turning point was it? Was it when Sean should have taken a?
No, my turning point actually just was that last frame of the session. If Sean could have won and kept it within 9-8, it's still pretty much the same as even.
I don't really think it was a turning point though, because Selby, he was a colossal favourite for that frame because he had a brown and a blue safe.
I think maybe, yeah, I'm just saying that frame, if being a big difference in the match, 3 frames behind as opposed to 1, for me, there's a big difference because
I think.
Yeah, I get it. I know you. I get you disagree, but I'm just saying that for myself, Murphy gaining 3 frames back is going to be an awful mountain to climb.
Yeah. Well, I personally think that the biggest turning point is still to come.
Okay, there you go.
And that's a good thing because we there's a mysterious feeling out there. We just don't know what's going to happen. Something's going to happen, and we just don't know what it is. And will it be Selby missing an easy blue again? Will it be Murphy fluking this? Will it be someone playing a good snooker? We don't know because that's just how it is.
Yeah.
But
Hopefully.
no, I think Selby will grind him down, and I think he'll come out 18-15. But that's just my opinion.
That's a very reasonable prediction.
So you're basically sharing the frames the rest of the way. Because he's
pretty much
now, and if he wins by 3, they're sharing frames the rest of the way.
I think Selby winning them comeback straight frames in a row, 6 frames in a row, has done him the world of good.
But there is an interesting fact you have to note. I think there have been in about the last 10 years or something, about 4 or 5 times where somebody has come back from 10-7 down to win the World Championship final the next day.
Yes, true.
And the other thing is, Murphy was a victim, as in he was on the wrong end of the stick with that last time against Bingham. He was 10-7 up to be taken back and lost to Bingham. So he's hoping for a reverse of that tomorrow.
Yep. Well, like I say, hopefully. But Selby's playing just too granite for me to think that.
But we'll have to ask, who does Chris Henry want to win?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, how would you do that, by the way, if you was coaching both players?
I'd just be giving them equal advice, treating them completely neutrally.
I'm
You
sure.
can't favour one or the other.
Yeah,
you treat every player, because he also coaches Mark Davis. You treat him the same as well.
Yeah. Okay. So, any parting shots, guys, before we sign off?
No, but I'm very much looking forward to day 2 of the championship, and I'm very much also looking forward to reviewing day 2 of the championship. Of the final.
Yeah, that'll be great.
Parting shots, maybe. Yeah, hopefully we have hopefully the conclusion's better. For me, it's been a bit dull, so hopefully we can pick it up and have a great finale to the tournament, which has been a very good tournament, by the way.
Yeah.
So.
Lock or no lock? Questions.
Yeah.
We'll go Dylan first. 147 or not?
Definitely not.
Definitely not.
How many centuries?
Just 2, 1 from each player.
Okay, Mike.
Yeah,
147 or not?
No 147. Definitely not.
No 147 for me either. And how many centuries tomorrow?
Yeah. Well, when they crossed, I said around 108 or 109, but it's looking like 105 or 106 would be the bottom line there. But still a great tournament. Still 105. That's pretty good.
So that'll be 2 centuries then as well. Yeah.
I'll go 2 centuries as well.
That means we're all predicting 2 centuries tomorrow.
We're all predicting 2 centuries. Holy crap.
Yeah. Well, Mike, you can do your sign off.
All right. He is Dylan in Chester. He is Graham in Burton-on-Trent. I'm Mike in Vancouver. We're signing off. We will be back tomorrow with the trophy presentation. Good night.
See you all. Thanks.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.
Yeah.